Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity on the River's virtual Sunday service for September 20th, 2020. I am Rev Ogun, Senior Minister. Honored to be serving with you today. Let us begin with a centering prayer. So wherever you are, whenever you are, I invite you to gently close the eyes. Take a deep breath, connect with the heart space. And for a moment, simply connect with any feelings you are experiencing right now about anything. And as we connect with these feelings, we connect with what these feelings bring up for us. And as we connect with what they bring up for us, we see this as an invitation not to react, but to respond from the centered place of the divine expression of love that we are. We are here on the business of transforming the world, which always begins with transforming ourselves, which begins with that awareness that we always begin in the spirit, in the heart, and we speak and we act from love, from peace, from joy. In so doing, we bring the invisible divinity that is God into a world that it may be felt, it may be seen, it may be heard. And in this moment, at this time, we come together to remember that, knowing that even though we are separated, we are not disconnected. Because spirit, truth transcends time, it transcends space, and the oneness that we are will always be felt as spiritual community. We ground ourselves in this truth as we move forward, and so it is, and so we let it be. Amen and amen. So I am always thrilled to share this time with this amazing music team, our music director, Meg Rain. We got the boys in the shed, Keith and Brian, and we've got some great songs for you today. So I'm going to kick it over to Meg, and why don't you start us off by waking us up? Let's unmute you. Got to unmute you. Here we go. Having our Zoom moments. Nope, you got to unmute yourself. Here we go. That's all right. We got this.
There I am.
There we go.
Everybody, let's all wake up together and sing this if you feel so moved with me. I'd love it. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one. Wake up to the one love that makes us only one I know. Make the choice to grow. Lead us on to show. together. Yes, we know that all things work together for those who are called, those who love God, those who are called to love's purpose. All things work together. Yes, all things work together. All things work together. They work together for good. So we lift up our hearts, lift up our hands, lift up our faith in love. Though we may not yet understand, we know it's true that all things work together. Yes, all things work together. All things work together. They work together for good.
Thank you, Meg. Yes, all things work together, and sometimes we find that hard to see with what's going on, but we can always ground ourselves back in that truth through remembering to go within. So let us prepare to do that right now with a time of meditation. So wherever you are, I invite you to become comfortable, whether you're sitting down or lying down, and just gently close the eyes and allow the words of the song from the Boys in the Shed, it's called Orange Sky, to kind of just lull you into that place of stillness.
Last night I had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky. I said I had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky. I had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky, with my brother standing by, with my brother standing by. And I said, brother, you know. It's been a long road we've been walking on. Brother, you know it is. Such a long road we've been walking on. Had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky. Yes, I had a dream. Stood beneath an orange sky with my sister standing by. With my sister standing by. I said, here is what I know. Here is what I know. Here is what I know. And it goes like this. In your love, my salvation is. In your love, my salvation is. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, in your love. Ah, but sister, you know I'm so weary. Sister, you know my heart's been broken. Sometimes my mind is too strong to carry on. It's too strong to carry on. When I'm alone, I've thrown off the weight of this crazy stone. When I've lost all care for the things I own, that's when I miss you. That's when I miss you. That's when I miss you. You are my home. You are my home. Here is what I know, here is what I know, here is what I know now. It goes like this. In your love, my salvation lies. 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 In your love, in your love. Your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, in your love. Had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky. I had a dream, stood beneath an orange sky. With my brother and sister standing by. My brothers and my sisters are standing by. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies. I had a dream.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Keith. So let's continue to center. Let's continue to turn inward to that place of knowing the truth that Our love is that which will save us, which will indeed save the world. So let us begin by turning our full attention to the inflow and the outflow of the breath. With each out breath, allow the body to relax even more. And with each in breath, allow the attention to turn within even further. With every distracting thought or sensation in the body, simply return the attention to the breath, to the stillness. Connecting with the truth that nothing outside of ourselves is the answer for that which causes discomfort, which causes the pain of the frightened parts of ourselves. The only answer to true inner peace the only source of our salvation is the love that lies within. So we breathe into that. We breathe from that. My salvation, your salvation, lies in the unconditional, inexhaustible love of the divinity that we are. So as we turn deeper within for a few moments in the silence, let us affirm, each and every one of us, I am the love, I am the joy, I am the peace that I seek. I am the love, I am the joy, I am the peace that I seek. For a few moments in the silence. I am the peace. I am the love. I am the joy that I seek. Let us hold this truth for ourselves, for our loved ones, for everyone. And should there be anyone in your life right now that you especially would like to hold this for, or set the intention for them to hold for themselves, simply bring them to mind right now. Even say their names out loud. Affirm in and set in the intention that they remember that they are the source of all that they seek, that nothing outside of themselves, no change in the outer circumstances is truly the source of their joy, of their peace, of their love, of their wholeness. It begins in spirit, in the truth of our divinity. It begins with us. And so it is. And so we let it be. Amen and amen.
I'd like to sing this song in honor of a dear and mighty, small in stature but mighty in spirit woman, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who made her transition yesterday. A woman who spoke for peace and justice and love all her life. So this song is for you, Ruth, and for all of us. We're going to keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward, never turning back. As you taught us, don't turn back. I'm gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. And I'm never turning back. No, I'm never turning back. I'm gonna sing for peace and justice. I'll sing for peace and justice on this earth. I'll speak for peace and justice. And I'm never turning back. I'm never turning back. And I'll keep on loving bravely. I'll keep on loving bravely. I'll keep on loving bravely. And I'll never
Thank you. That was a beautiful tribute. And I know for many of us, it was shocking news to hear of the passing of one of the greatest champions of justice that this country, indeed this world, has ever seen. And it's rather timely. I believe there are no accidents. Rather timely that we're in this series on spiritual partnerships, the book by Gary Zukav, because when I heard the news of her passing, the news alert came across my phone last night. I can tell you there were a lot of frightened parts of myself that were triggered by that. And like many of you, I went down a bit of a spiral. But before I talk more about that and where I am and where some of you may be right now with that, let me just bring you up to speed, just in case you've missed the first two parts of this series that I've started on spiritual partnership. As always, all our talks are always archived up on our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search Unity on the River, and you'll see it there. But we're talking about spiritual partnerships, the journey to authentic power. Again, this is a book by Gary Zukav, and it's probably one of the most influential spiritual books that I've read in my lifetime, because this is a book that really challenges us to see how the relationships that we have in our life can be used for our spiritual growth. I always say relationships are our greatest spiritual practice, and this book is really the manual or the reason I say that. So when we talk about spiritual partnership, again, what are we talking about? Spiritual partnership is it's a partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth, and we're going to break down that statement a lot more in detail today. And let me warn you, this talk itself is gonna be a trigger. Okay, this talk will cause frightened parts of yourself to get stirred up, and that's okay. That's a good thing, because that's the only way we transform ourselves. To have the frightened parts of ourselves get triggered, rear their heads. In one of the chapters refers to as dragons. Get those dragons to rear their heads so that then we can do the work to transform them. But for many of us, when the frightened parts are triggered, it reminds us, and pain is triggered, and we want to do what we can to get rid of the pain by changing circumstances outside of ourselves. We talked about this last week when we talked about the difference between happiness and joy. We try to be happy, or we try to appease the frightened parts of ourselves by changing circumstances outside of ourselves, manipulating circumstances, people, events. We change what's going on outside of ourselves in order to appease the frightened parts of ourselves, so we don't feel the pain of those frightened parts. That's what happiness is. Trying to change the things outside of ourselves over which we ultimately don't have any control. Joy requires us to change ourselves, which is always the harder work. But it's only from that place that we can live from authentic power, that we can live from true alignment with our souls, from a place of intention and experiences, not from a place of like right or wrong, good or bad, pass, fail, intentions and experiences. That's true spiritual growth. Finding, experiencing, and challenging the frightened and fear-based parts, of our personality, so that then we can truly live from this place of authentic power. So the definition is a partnership between equals. What does it mean to be an equal? What does it mean and feel and look like when we're actually in that journey of spiritual partnership? That's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So let's talk about equals. What does it mean to be equals? So as we walk through this spiritual journey, and we've all done this, present company included, and throwing myself under the bus here. As we walk through this spiritual journey, sometimes we don't realize when we have started considering ourselves superior or inferior to someone else. It can be very obvious, but it can be very subtle. What do I mean by that? For example, sometimes intentionally or unintentionally, we idolize other people and we put them up on pedestals. We look at spiritual gurus. We look at people who may have been so successful in this world by whatever external standards of success we've defined them to be, and we idolize them. We put them up on a pedestal, and when we do that, we've just considered ourselves inferior to them. But then what happens? Of course, these people fail to meet our expectations. No one can ever meet all the expectations we have of them, especially when we don't communicate the expectations. But ultimately, people won't meet our expectations. It's just impossible. And then they fall off the pedestal. And when that happens, that's when we switch it around, and now we are unconsciously feeling superior to them. So whether we are in a place of feeling inferior or superior or going back and forth, we're not on equal footing. And let's be clear, the idolization and the creation of pedestals, that's our own doing. That's nothing outside of ourselves. We've done that as well, because the frightened parts of ourselves starts to compare. We assess and we compare the external power that people have. When I say external power, however we define success, however we've chosen to idolize that person or put them up on the pedestal or knock them off the pedestal, the frightened parts of ourselves sees these things, and we compare them to our own, and we think it's more valuable to have external power because it makes us feel safe. We can control things, or at least we think we can. And then when we can't control them, we feel threatened and less vulnerable. And then there's that inferiority feeling. Equality, that truly happens when we realize that we are sharing a journey towards wholeness. That's the point. We are all trying to unfold the divine wholeness that we are. And to find equals, or to find people who are realizing that everything that's happening is an opportunity for us to unfold more of the wholeness. You found a spiritual equal when you find someone who's not living from a place of better or worse or more or less or good and bad. Again, a person who's living from that place of intention and experience. When we are living from that place, we are becoming a spiritual partner. When we realize that there is nothing in the universe that is more or less precious than each and every one of us, that's a place of equality that we can come to. Of course, we see others and we can admire their accomplishments and what they have done. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or as I like to call her, the notorious RBG, she's a person who's done so much in this world for justice and equality. But we get to be careful when I have put her up on a pedestal and felt inferior to her accomplishments. And then perhaps in the course of any person that we put, again, on a pedestal, when they don't meet all of our expectations and don't check all the boxes, then we're dismayed, we're disappointed. The frightened parts of ourselves get triggered by it because we start feeling inferior when they don't, or superior when they don't meet those obligations. And in order to try and return to happiness, to appease the frightened parts of ourselves, we write that person off. Nowadays, we begin to call it cancel culture, but that's kind of what it is. What does it look and feel like to be a spiritual partner? A spiritual partner, we set the intention and do the work to journey into the deepest fears and experience the full powerlessness that we are afraid of within ourselves. And we do this with the intention to heal them completely. But sometimes, again, it's too scary, too painful. So what do? Is we seek allies to change the circumstances. We find other people who we can get on our side to go like, you know what? If we do this, if we change these outside circumstances, we will feel better about ourselves and about our situation. That's the seeking happiness, temporary fleeting happiness, which is really not spiritual growth. All it's doing is reinforcing the frightened parts of yourself. The journey to wholeness is always, again, transforming those deepest fears that we carry around with us. When we're a spiritual partner, we know that others do not create the pain we're feeling. All they're doing is frightening the triggered parts of ourselves that existed even before whatever the situation outside of ourselves came up to trigger it. The frightened parts of ourselves were always there all along. And here's the funny part that we always sometimes forget. Part of the agreement we make as spiritual partners is to intentionally activate the frightened parts of ourselves. That's okay. That's the only way we can find them, realize that they're still there, and transform them. That is the work it requires to be a spiritual partner, to trigger and be triggered. I know for many of us, every day there's something that triggers us. Last night, when I heard of the passing of Justice Ginsburg, the frightened part of me that wants change to happen in this world went immediately not to the place of honoring and recognizing this champion for justice, but fear and anger around, oh my goodness, now there's going to be opportunity to nominate and put in place another conservative judge who doesn't align with my values. But wait, no, there's not enough time before an election. But you know, then the Senate Majority Leader McConnell tweeted he's gonna approve any nomination, and I went down that spiral of fear and anger because he said he wouldn't last time, and the frightened parts of me got all sort of stirred up. Got all sorts of stirred up. For some of you, the frightened parts of you were triggered a little over a year ago when we first had the conversation about needing to sell our building, and they got triggered and stirred up again when the building sale was completed a few weeks ago. And the frightened parts of you were probably saying like you know, what does this mean? And it's bad news for our community, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and we've got to change some circumstances so that we can feel happy again and we can feel safe again. This is the spiritual work, to allow those frightened parts to be triggered so that we can heal them. Because if we are triggered because of the sale of a building, it's not about the building. It's about, what are we afraid of? What's fearful inside of us when we see things like the building being sold, when we see things like a smaller congregation, when we see things or hear things by the minister or the board that we don't agree with. What is it within us that's been triggered? Because that's where the true work lies. That's where we've got to go before we decide about any changes outside of ourselves. That's what it means to be in spiritual partnership together. And that's why I am here. I am here to be your spiritual partner. I am here to be triggered by you, and I'm here to trigger you as well. And let's be clear, as my 5 years as a minister here, I've been triggered a lot. And my triggers have been around my own frightened parts of myself. What if they don't like me? What if I don't do a thing that everybody likes and it creates conflict? I may have mentioned before, I'm a 9, right? On the Enneagram, all you Enneagram people out there who knows what 9s are, we're a conflict avoidant. We can't handle the conflict. We don't like it. And we run from it and we hide from it because the frightened parts of myself does not like conflict. That's my work to do. And my frightened part of myself is triggered because here I am, the minister of a congregation with lots of people with lots of needs and lots of expectations. How do I meet all of them? That's the frightened part of myself talking. And because I haven't met all needs and I haven't met all expectations, and you've been clear to let me know when that didn't happen, now that's me being triggered. So thank you for that, first of all. Thank you for that, because that's invited me into the deeper work of healing myself. And you're welcome for me triggering you so that you can turn to those frightened parts of yourself and challenge them. That's what it means to be a spiritual partner, to be pulled forward by the intention to grow spiritually. So let's talk about some of the dynamics of spiritual partnership and why we find it so uncomfortable and challenging and want to default to quick changes on the outside of ourselves. There are three dynamics to being in spiritual partnership. One of them is the intention, again, to grow together. This involves applying emotional awareness when we are triggered. So when we are triggered, checking in with the body, checking in with all the sensations to come up to realize, oh wait, a frightened part of me just got triggered. And then noticing our thoughts when that happens. What comes up when the frightened part is triggered? It's judgmental, critical, even violent thoughts. But when the loving parts of us are active, it's gratitude, it's appreciation, it's caring. So notice when those thoughts come up. And then third, examine our intention. What's the intention? The need to win, to be right, to be in control? Or is it to create harmony, to share, to cooperate? That's what it means to be in that intention of growing together. There's a passage I want to read for you from the book. This is probably the most important paragraph that I've read up to date so far. If you've got the book, it's on page 107. And it says this: there is no security in spiritual partnership. Spiritual partners are together to grow spiritually, not to soothe one another's fears. On the contrary, they support one another in experiencing their fears and healing the sources of them. Spiritual partners are patient and caring, but patience and care are not enough to keep them together. They appreciate one another, but appreciation is not enough either. They love one another, but even love is not enough. Only the commitment to creating authentic power can keep spiritual partners together through the challenges of unearthing, experiencing, and healing frightened parts of their personalities. 5 sensory individuals in old type relationships commit to one another, their relationships, and their 5 sensory goals. Spiritual partners commit to growing spiritually and to supporting one another in growing spiritually. Frightened parts of your personality do not threaten a spiritual partnership, but failing to challenge them does. Failing to challenge them does. For many of us in the past year in our spiritual community, for the past 4 years in this nation, beyond, so many of the frightened parts of us have been triggered. And what do? We act from them. No, we've got to challenge them. We've got to challenge them so that we can grow together and make the best choices for each other from the loving parts of ourselves, not the frightened parts of ourselves. Another dynamic of spiritual partnership is to choose the roles that we play in each other's lives. For 5 sensory people, it's like, I'm just a human living here on earth, and I gotta try and make things happen. When you're in a spiritual partnership place, you realize that you are a powerful, creative, compassionate, and loving spirit, and that's the place you live from. You're living from the loving parts of yourself, not the frightened parts of yourself. And the third dynamic, and perhaps this is the most challenging one. This is the one I think we all struggle with most, But when we get a handle on this, this is how we know we are progressing. Saying what is most difficult. Saying what is most difficult. A 5-sensory person tends to hide saying the things that they think will destroy the relationship. Or not only hide it, but then sometimes they say it to people who they can, as I mentioned earlier, get some allies to support. So they tell it to them. Or, I don't know if you remember when we talked about 15 commitments of conscious leadership a few months back, how we talked about gossiping. Yeah. Rather than going directly to the other person that they are in relationship with, they go tell other people and tell other people about what was said or heard or rumored that trigger the frightened parts of themselves. But here's what true spiritual partners do. Here's what people who are truly committed to living from authentic power do. They do the opposite. They say the things that they're afraid will destroy the relationship. And they say them directly to the other spiritual partner that they are in relationship. Until we say what is most difficult for us to say, we cannot truly speak from our heart or live unafraid or create health or receive support from others. He has a beautiful quote in here from the Gospel of Thomas, one of those Gospels that didn't make the traditional Bible from the Nag Hammadi, scripts that were found. And Jesus was attributed to saying this: if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. But if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. And I know this is tough. As a person who by default is conflict avoidant, trust me, this has been my greatest challenge and my greatest work in the last few years. Saying what is most difficult. Bringing it to the light rather than giving to the temptation of appeasing the frightened parts of ourselves by saying, let's just change the outside circumstances and then we don't have to deal with it anymore. No. That frightened part of yourself is still always going to be there. True spiritual growth requires to say it, to speak it, to be brave, to have that difficult conversation so that we can both be on the healing journey. Because when you say the thing that's most difficult to say to a spiritual partner, their frightened part might be triggered as well. And then it's their responsibility to be mindful of that and choose to respond from the loving parts of themselves. This is the journey. This is the work. This is what I'm committed to being a spiritual partner to each and every one of you. Because when we do this work, what are we going to get out of it? I'll tell you what, we're going to experience meaning and purpose. You know what I always say? We are human beings. We are meaning-making machines. Because we crave meaning. So what is the meaning that we're going to create together? Is it going to be life and health and fulfillment? Or is it just going to be a fleeting, satisfactory, happiness or what we think we got to do now to gain control? Is it going to be true, lasting joy? Or is it going to be fickle happiness? What else do we get out of this? Real courage to support each other, to challenge the frightened parts of our personality. Instead, again, by trying to just change out of circumstances. Because here's what will happen if we don't address the frightened parts of ourselves. We'll change circumstances. We'll feel happy for a little bit until the frightened parts get triggered again. And then we'll change circumstances. And then we'll feel happy for a little bit. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's not happiness, my friends. That's hell on earth. I want joy. I want heaven on earth. I want us to really do the work to challenge bravely and courageously those frightened parts of ourselves. What else do we get out of being spiritual partnerships? This is a fun one. This is a fun one that specifically applies to families and churches. The ability to use dramas and tragedies to grow spiritually and not be hijacked by them, not be hijacked by when we get triggered to retract into that frightened parts of ourselves, because there will always be events that transpire that we don't like. It's always going to happen. That's just the nature of life. But like I always say, everything that happens is an opportunity for us to show up as the divine. That's what he's trying to say here, that these dramas and these tragedies are an opportunity for us to grow spiritually, which means challenging the frightened parts of ourselves. You're going to hear me saying that a lot because that's the whole essence of it. And when we challenge the frightened parts of ourselves, here's the other thing we get out of this. We can finally experience true love for ourselves and for others. He has a great line. He says, when you love, you and love become indistinguishable. And love for others and love for yourself becomes indistinguishable. That's what we say we want to experience, but it's just not magically going to happen. We got to do the work. We got to do the work. And when we do that work of entering into spiritual partnerships and working and growing as spiritual partners together, that's when we begin to truly experience the universe as a compassionate and wise place as well. I've heard from many of you that have said, I don't have the experience in my life where things have just been coming together and working in my favor. Well, guess what, folks? That can change today. That can change in this moment when we make the commitment to challenge the frightened parts of ourselves. So I know there are many of you watching this talk who may be friends or know other people who are in that frightened place right now, who are seeking to change outside circumstances. Invite them to get this book. Invite them to watch these talks. Invite them to join you and join me in this work of becoming spiritual partners, which means making an agreement with each other that when the frightened parts of ourselves get triggered, we don't appease them by seeking to manipulate things outside of ourselves. No. We go in with each other and support each other and heal those frightened parts. And then from a loving place, then we make choices, then we make decisions. Because when we make decisions as spiritual partners together, that's how we experience wholeness together. That's how we experience the highest and best together. That's how we experience God together. I love you, and I'm here to be a spiritual partner with you. I hope you're here to be that with me as well. Namaste. And on that note, reminding us that love needs love. Turning it over to the boys in the shed.
Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have some serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster. Could change your joy and laughter to tears when I am pain. Oh, love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's going round, breaking many force of evil plans to make you its possession. It will, if we let it destroy everybody. We all must take precautionary measures. With love and peace you treasure, then hear me when I say, oh, that love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Oh, hate's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. It's up to you, 'cause love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Whoa, 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 hate's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. Oh, love's in need of love today. No, don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's going round, breaking too many hearts. So stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Thank you, Brian and Keith. Yeah, love's in need of love. Let us choose to live from the love and parts of ourselves. We need it more today than ever. Before we end today's service, some announcements to share with you. As I mentioned before last week, we've got our new office in the process of still setting it up, but you can come by, check it out by appointment only. Had some folks come by this week, and it was great to sit socially distanced, reconnect with you and share some laughter and share some stories. So again, Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The office is 14 Cedar Street, Suite 203. But call first or email me, set up an appointment. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. We don't need people just showing up randomly, and we end up with 15 people in a very small space. So please call ahead, make an appointment. Would love to see you. I invited some folks the last couple of weeks if they wanted to start a conversation around how our Unity on the River community can be a greater face and voice for some social justice, to contact me. I got a few responses. We're going to have our first Zoom meeting. It's going to be today. That's Sunday, September 20th at 12:15 p.m. So that's after hospitality. If you still want to be a part of that, just shoot me a quick email, Rev Ogun at unityontheriver.org, and I'll send you the link to be part of that meeting. And the board has invited anyone who's wanted to be part of the discussion or help out, or when we have a notice about maybe a place to look at, to be part of that team, to let them know. I've put out that invitation last week. I think only one person responded to it, but you need to email the board so that we know we can contact you. That's board15@unityontheriver.org. Just a reminder, Unity Eastern Region Conference, fully virtual this year, October 5 through 8, and the deadline for that is September 28th. Go to unityeasternregion.org for more information around that. many ways to stay connected, even though we can't meet in person right now. I'm inviting you to please take advantage of them. You know, we keep hearing stories of how people feel isolated and alone and disconnected. We've got plenty of opportunities for you. I know you know how to use Zoom. Many of you showed up at the community meeting, so please take advantage of these opportunities. Starting with, if you're watching this service on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. every Sunday, we've got Zoom hospitality. The information to get into the Zoom hospitality is on our webpage, unityontheriver.org. It's in our newsletter. We've got the midweek meetup and meditation now being offered twice on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. All that information also on the website in the newsletter. Spirit Groups is coming up. That's starting pretty soon. And September 26th, that's later this week. That's the deadline to sign up. And there's still lots of room because it's happening over Zoom. So we kind of don't have a limit on the size of groups. So please take advantage of that opportunity as well to sign up for Spirit Groups. That's small groups, and we're exploring that classic unity work, discover the power within you. But we're not just sitting and talking. There's like videos, there's music, there's a lot of interactive experience through the Spirit Groups organization. So please check in on that. And how do you stay informed with all these going on? Sign up for a newsletter. There's a great link on our website for that. Or get text alerts. If you're not signed up for text alerts yet, it's simple. Text UOTR to 313131, and you will get text alerts and reminders about events, about deadlines, breaking news in our community. That's what you need to do. UOTR to 313131. And starting soon, a new feature we want to add to our Sunday service. This was actually a suggestion by our music director, Meg Rain. It's a great suggestion. She's like, we want to see each other more. And I'm like, well, we got plenty of opportunities. And she's like, well, what about something in Sunday service? So I'm like, you know what? Let's go with that idea. So I want to start a little segment called Community Corner. And what this means is I'm going to give you guys an opportunity, a few minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes, to share by video, Sunday service, what's going on with you, how you spending your time, what's new in your life, because I know a lot of new things are happening for people. What's going on? What do you miss about meeting together? We want to see your face. We want to hear your voice. So if you are interested in doing this, again, give me a call at the office or shoot me an email, Rev Ogun at unityontheriver.org, so that we can have a conversation about how we make that happen. It's not as simple as just, walking up onto the stage right now. It's a little more technological logistics we got to overcome. So go ahead and do that. It was in our newsletter this week, and I've already gotten some emails from people who are interested in doing that. So also, thank you for continuing to invest in our spiritual community. This is how we continue to exist right now. I know for some of you, it's like, well, we just sold the building. Yeah, that's where we still need your donations for operations, for doing things like this. We want to bring back the band. We want to do more for these online services. I don't know if you just heard in the news, but there may not be a vaccine available to keep everyone healthy for, middle of next year. So this experience is going to go on a little bit longer. So how do we improve on it? How do we make it a little more fun and engaging? One of those ways is to bring the band back, do some other things, and all these things have an expense. So we would love for you to show your support, help create the experience you want to have, and share more with us. And what about the proceeds from the building? Those are going to be there for the next building. So please, we still need your abundance and your sharing. So how do you do that? Head over to unityontheriver.org/donate, or you can simply set up a text to give on your phone by texting the word give to 833-702-4337. If you haven't done that yet, then it's a simple matter of picking up your phone like I'm doing right now, putting in a number like I'm doing right now, hitting send, and boom, just made a donation, just made a tithe, just made an offering. Or You can do it old school again. Send a check to the office. Mail a check to the office, 14 Cedar Street, suite number 203 in Amesbury. Please also remember, and I've been remiss in mentioning this before, so my apologies, we still have an active prayer line. You can still email your prayers for the prayer chaplains and the prayer team to hold in consciousness. And sneak peek, we are working, we experimented it, but we're working to be able to create a live prayer chaplain experience during our hospitality Zoom. Remember after service, you used to go sit with the prayer chaplain and pray. We weren't be able to do that, but we're working on a way to try and bring that back virtually, so that when virtual hospitality is going on, if you want to step into a second digital space and pray with a prayer chaplain, to be able to do that as well. So this is how we are doing our best, given the circumstances, to continue to make spiritual community a real, felt, connected experience. So let us connect now as we end today's service with how we always ended our services, by affirming that there is, first in spirit and then in reality, peace on earth, and it begins with us. Let there be peace on earth. Boys in the shed, take it away.
It's our turn now, Keith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us.
We are
the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
God.
Wherever we are, God
God
is, and all is well.
well.
And we are richly blessed.
blessed.
Let's go be spiritual partners together. Namaste.
Namaste, everyone. Bless you.
Happy Sunday.